Welcome to Road Trip with my horse, and we are starting off the day in Utah, and the horses are getting to run around and stretch their legs after being in stalls for the night before we get on our last leg of the journey to California, although the fun is not going to stop there. Once we get to the Western States Expo in California, after that we have a really exciting road trip planned for on the way back. We decided to take a different route there and back so we could see more of the country and experience the drive along the way. So it's going to be pretty exciting. As you can see, Nova and Alicia are definitely excited to get their friskies out and have some space to run around. Look how gorgeous that backdrop is. Utah is absolutely stunning. And I always think it's great to allow the horse an opportunity to run around when they have a safe space to do so. It's really great for their mental and their physical energy to have the opportunity to just play, to just be horses and have an opportunity to just stretch their legs. And then that way they're going to be a lot safer for us to work with. And you're going to see coming up in this video, we do some pretty interesting things. And it's really important that we put our horses first, that they get an opportunity to be horses, get all this out, and then that way when we ask them to do the things that we ask them to do, they're better able to do that because they don't have all of this mental anxiety and physical energy just built up inside of them. You can definitely see there's a difference between Alicia and Nova. Alicia definitely has more beans. They're both running around, but Alicia's got more canter going on. There's this really awesome little clip here coming up in a second where Lissy does this absolutely stunning rear. It is so gorgeous, and with the mountains in the background, it's just like from a calendar. It looks like it could be absolutely beautiful. And of course, I'm watching this thinking, okay, when we've done our little practice rears, you didn't give me anything anywhere near as beautiful as that right there. That was gorgeous. So she's just feeling great and proof that she can do a really nice rear. So now the secret's out, Alicia. I know what I can expect now. So as we're driving along and we're leaving Utah, we come across the Salt Flats. And this was absolutely amazing. It's kind of funny because I kind of filmed this clip of us on the Salt Flats, and then I had a nap for an hour and woke up and we were still driving on the Salt Flats doing this. Now, what they don't tell you before you start on this is that you should fill your truck up with gas. And now luckily we had 3/4 of a tank, but we barely made it to the other side of the Salt Flats and got to the gas station where we could fill up with fuel. So definitely if you're coming out here, make sure you fill up with gas before you come on the Salt Flats. And then as we're at the gas station, they ran out of gas. So we're like, okay, well, I guess we'll go for a ride and hit up the Salt Flats. And this is definitely got to be one of my most favorite trail rides of all time. It technically was just going in a straight line, and we did a whole bunch of just galloping up and down the track bridleless. And it was just a lot of fun. It was so beautiful. It was like nothing else that I'd ever experienced. It's super long. Like we did not even sort of run down the whole thing. And we just stayed on this little path on the side here. We brought our bridles just in case to see how our horses were, because even though we do all of these what some people would call crazy things or these really intense challenges with our horses, we do have that safety mind to us, and we do want to make sure we stay safe and have good experiences with our horses. So we were goofing around with just playing around with our horses with the beautiful view. You can see that's the end of the Salt Flats there. That's the gas station in the background. Really far down, you can see just how far we rode from the gas station. And while we're out here, we're really hoping that they can get the pump going again. I can't remember if it was that they were out of gas or that the pump was broken, but we're literally, like, our truck said something like we had 8 miles more that we could drive before we would run out of fuel. Kind of crazy that it's that long of a stretch. I think it was something like 300 kilometers that you go without a gas station. And when you're hauling a full trailer, my fuel consumption on my pickup truck is not amazing. It's actually kind of interesting if I fill my truck and I'm not hauling a trailer, my truck will say I have something like 1,000 kilometers to go on the tank, which for miles, it would be about 600 miles, I believe. And then when I hook up my horse trailer and I start hauling, all of a sudden I only get about 400 or 500 kilometers to the tank. So I get about half as much. So we started with about 3/4 of a tank. And so that was kind of an intense drive as we were approaching the end. It's like, okay, there is literally nothing on this stretch. And definitely we have learned that you fill up when you can, even if you only have, if you've only need a 1/4 tank of gas, you fill up. Because when you're driving across this area of the United States, you don't really know where the next gas station is going to be. So you can see as we are playing around out here, it is absolutely beautiful, and we're just goofing around with our horses. They already got to run around in the morning, and that's probably a good thing, because otherwise, I don't know, we could have hit this open track bridleless and they might have been like, we can really run, and who knows, we might have gone for a really good gallop down that track. So it's just great to make sure that our horses are able to give us their minds and be able to focus. I'm just goofing around, getting some different pictures and having a good time with our horses. We're lucky that while Franny and I are out here with our horses having a good time out here, Rita and Sarah are with Evelyn back at the gas station, and they're checking out the view and touching the salt flats over back where they are. And then finally, as we're riding back, we were able to pump up with gas, but we weren't able to get regular gas. They only had premium gas. I feel like that's a little bit of a sales tactic. You know, you have to drive for 300 kilometers and there's no fuel tank, and then there's no gas stations along the way, and then you finally get to the other end of the salt flats and they're like, hey, we only have premium. I'm like, okay, sure you do, but whatever. We got enough gas to get on our way, and didn't have much of a choice at that point. So here's just a little clip of us zooming along bridleless down the salt flats, boogieing it back. And remember I talked about how there are thunderstorms that are a theme of this trip? You can kind of see that on the one side it's all blue sky, and on the other side it's like thunderstorm coming down. And we actually do end up in a thunderstorm. We end up not completely escaping it. For the most part, we had the blue sky, but it kept kind of catching up to us, the rain, and you can see the dark clouds glooming over. It was kind of staying off to the side for the most part, but we did end up having to drive through a bit of it. You can see blue sky on the one side and then the clouds on the other side, and this just kind of seemed to happen throughout our trip. It's always like seeing these being on the edge of the thunderstorms and just having to drive through a little bit. Thankfully, not all of our drive was like this, because that would make it go really, really slow. But we always want to keep safe, and so we get our wipers on there, take it slow and easy, and just try to get to the place in one piece. But it was a very ambitious drive. Like, we had a very packed schedule, even though we stopped along the way. It was pretty intense. So this is us as we are getting into California. You can see the landscape has changed now, and it was really neat to just see how different everything was. The trees were different. This beautiful view with the lake down there. We're into snowy mountains again, but the trees are totally different. So even though we were at the Rocky Mountains, this is a very different view now than what we were having before. So you guys get to kind of live it with us. And driving into the snow, it's like, I'm from Canada. I don't want to see any more snow. The snow can be gone until winter time again, please. And we ended up making it to the Horse Expo just as the sun was setting and it was starting to get dark. We're able to get the horse settled in, and it's going to be a busy day tomorrow. Remember to subscribe and check out harmonyhorsemanship.com for even more learning.